Close your eyes for a moment. Picture yourself sitting alone in a dimly lit room. The soft glow of a screen reflecting off your face. Your finger hovers over the mouse, heart racing, mind divided. You've been here before too many times to count. In this moment, you feel the weight of your secret pressing down on you, crushing you beneath layers of shame and regret. This is a story about a battle. Not one fought with weapons or armies, but a war that rages in the hearts and minds of countless Christians every day. It's a battle that no one sees, yet its casualties are everywhere. In homes, in churches, in seminary classrooms, and in pastoral offices. This silent epidemic continues to claim victims. You're not alone in this fight. I know, because I've been there too. That crushing weight of guilt after giving in. Again. The fervent prayers for strength, followed by broken promises. The endless cycle of resistance, failure, and shame. The desperate attempts to find freedom, only to fall back into familiar patterns. The questions that haunt you in the quiet hours. Why can't I stop? What's wrong with me? Will I ever be free? To understand this battle, truly understand it, we need to go deeper, much deeper, to the very core of who we are as human beings. To understand why this addiction has such a powerful hold, we must first understand the profound truth about our own hearts. Saint Augustine once wrote that our hearts are restless until they find rest in God. Centuries later, Pascal spoke of a God-shaped vacuum in every human heart. These weren't just poetic words. They were describing the fundamental truth about our existence. They were pointing to a reality that every human being experiences, whether they recognize it or not. Every single one of us is born with an innate longing for something greater than ourselves. It's a divine hunger, a sacred thirst. This desire isn't wrong, it's the very essence of our humanity. It's the source of our deepest dreams, our highest aspirations, our most profound hopes. It's the echo of eternity that resounds in every human heart. But here's where the enemy enters the story. Satan, the great deceiver, understands this longing all too well. And he offers counterfeits, brilliant, seductive counterfeits. Pornography is one of his masterpieces of deception. It speaks to our deepest longings for intimacy, connection, and love, but twists them into something that ultimately destroys. It promises intimacy without relationship, pleasure without commitment, fulfillment without love. And in our moments of weakness, when the longing feels unbearable, we reach for these counterfeits, knowing they're false, yet hoping somehow this time will be different. Each time, the emptiness that follows grows deeper, the shame heavier, the isolation more complete. The Apostle Paul captured this internal conflict perfectly when he wrote, "I do not understand what I do. For what I want to do I do not do, but what I hate I do." These words resonate across centuries because they speak to a universal human experience. The war between our highest aspirations and our lowest impulses. I understand this battle intimately. The spiritual depression that follows each failure. The feeling of being trapped in an endless cycle. The fear that maybe this time, you've fallen too far for God's grace to reach. The exhaustion of trying to maintain a facade of spiritual health, while battling in a turmoil. The loneliness of carrying a burden you feel you can't share with anyone. But here's the truth that changed everything for me. This battle isn't about achieving perfect performance. It's about progressive transformation. It's about understanding which desires we're feeding in our soul. Every choice we make is either watering the seeds of grace or the seeds of sin. Think of your soul as a garden. In this garden, two types of plants grow side by side. One representing grace, the other representing sin. The one you water more will grow stronger. Each time you choose to turn to God instead of your addiction, you're watering grace. Each time you choose authentic community over isolation, you're watering grace. Each time you choose to believe in God's love despite your failures, you're watering grace. The path to freedom begins with this understanding. It starts with daily immersion in Scripture, not as a religious duty, but as a lifeline to truth that can reshape your thoughts and desires. It continues with authentic prayer, not just formal religious words, but real, honest conversation with God, including your struggles, fears, and hopes. It grows through community, finding people who will walk alongside you in this journey, who will hold you accountable while extending grace. Yes, the battle continues. Every day brings new challenges, new temptations, new opportunities for either victory or defeat. But we don't fight for victory, we fight from victory. Christ has already won the war. Our daily battles are about living in that reality, about choosing to believe that His grace is stronger than our sin, His love more powerful than our shame. Remember, you are not defined by your struggles. You are not the sum of your failures. You are not condemned to fight this battle forever. You are a child of God, called to an extraordinary purpose, equipped with His grace, and empowered by His Spirit. Your addiction is not your identity, it's an enemy that can be defeated through the power of God's love and truth. The journey to freedom isn't easy, but it's worth every step. And you don't walk it alone. Every time you fall, God's grace is there to pick you up. Every time you feel weak, His strength is made perfect in your weakness. Every time shame threatens to overwhelm you, His love stands ready to embrace you. This is your story. And with God's help, it can become a story of victory, redemption, and hope. A story of transformation from bondage to freedom, from shame to glory, from defeat to victory. A story that testifies to the power of God's grace to change lives, heal wounds, and restore what was broken. The choice is yours. Will you continue to water the seeds of addiction? Or will you begin today to cultivate the garden of grace? Will you keep fighting this battle alone? Or will you allow God and others to fight alongside you? Will you let your past failures define you? Or will you embrace the identity and freedom that Christ offers? Your journey to freedom begins with a single step. Take that step today. Reach out for help. Choose community over isolation. Choose truth over lies. Choose grace over shame. Choose life over death. The God who created you, who loves you, who died for you, He stands ready to walk this journey with you. And with Him, victory is not just possible, it's promised.